We are still discussing eradicating female genital mutilation once and for all in Nigeria. The question is it possible that people still practice this ugly stuff that actually have a huge effect on our women and girl child, like Barrister Obo actually said, that it's have a way of affecting them. But we have an expert join us here in the studio. She's a mental health nurse, and of course, she goes by the name of Biak Julum.
Good morning.
I want to get the second one now.
Eme Column Obiajulum.
Eme Column. It's the Eme Column, so I will not call you Emeka. Eme Column Obiajulum. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, now quickly take us through on your thoughts, Obo Esquire. You're actually giving us the successes you've actually recorded. So let's quickly land on that before we get to the health experts.
Okay, so I was talking about over the past 3 to 4 years, we've had over 100 cases where we've intervened. Some of the cases, the parents or the relatives had already indulged in the act, but a larger part of it, they had not indulged in the act, probably when they are on their way or they're making plans or they're trying to finalize everything. So we've had successes, we've had parents, we've had children, especially the girls that are over and above the ages of 8, 9, 10 to 15. So we've had them go through therapy, we've had them go through professionals, through social health workers, who has over time helped them to change their psychology, their mentality, because it does affect them in a way you may not know. It has a way of reshaping the psychic or the level of exposure of the child, of the girl. So we help them put them back, to put them back in line. Then they also undergo medical therapy, medical checkups to ensure that so much damage has not been done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had wanted to ask if I affect their confidence in the other room, but I'll leave that to the health expert now.
Okay,
now, so walk us through this issue. Does this still happen? And if it does, what is the way out?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. Of course, it happens. Over 300 cases throughout Africa experience this female genital mutilation, and the issue of eradication of this
about
issue,
300,000 or 300?
300.
Okay.
300 has been on this issue of female genital mutilation. It happens. It still happens, and it's so unfortunate that with the great awareness, people still indulge in these acts, right? But I want people to understand today watching me that it is wrong.
Okay.
It does not only affect them physically, but also psychologically.
Okay.
But let me run through just some of the physical issues that
quick, very important, but let's make it very quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
May start having issues, just like you said, in the other room.
It's the other room.
Yes, in the other room. And it's really
that is the major one.
No, that's not the major one.
That's just on the surface.
Yeah, that's just on the surface, because sometimes they end up losing their lives at some point. Because during the period of childbirth, they have severe issues, most of them. There's something called efibrillation, where there is a narrowing of the vagina. So when the woman wants to give birth, there's a difficulty. Sometimes they even have to go for surgery to try to open the vagina to be able to access it. You know,
something that was opened before. They will now open it the more.
Yes, they will have to go through surgery to open it. That's like the third type. The first one, they're removing the clitoris, either partial or total removal of the clitoris, removing pleasure. So now,
does the woman really need a clit?
Of course, the woman needs a clit. Of course,
what
the woman
do you need
needs
it for? You don't really need it.
That's our pleasure points.
Okay,
so at that point,
pleasure point.
Yes,
okay,
is a pleasure point. So imagine you're having to practice or indulge in sex with your partner, and it's almost like you are being raped, or you are being forced, or there's something wrong with you, because you can't seem to get to that point where you're like you are satisfied. We are ladies. We talk. We have conversations that include sex. So when they are talking about sex and you can't even contribute, you don't know how it feels. There is this level of reduced self-esteem. It's almost like you are not enough, both for your partner and for yourself. You feel inadequate.
Okay, you will continue on your thought. Okay. But I now see where the problem came from. In the past, our mothers didn't complain. They don't talk about it.
Yeah.
They just receive it,
Okay.
and they go. But this generation now, you talk about it. So that's where the problem started from.
No.
If
I
you
don't
were not
think
talking
so.
about it, there wouldn't have been any problem.
No, I don't think so. I just thank God for social media, and I thank God for the advocates out there that are creating awareness about this. If that is the case, so how come the level of awareness is this strong? It has been on. The only issue was that there was no social media to propagate this news, to inform people that this is wrong and they have a right and they could seek help. Because back then, women were regarded as not being, shouldn't talk, shouldn't complain, should just accept whatever comes and should be fine with it.
Okay.
But that's no longer the case. We now know we have a voice, we have rights, and those rights should be protected.
Okay.
Get.
So how do you carry other association along, other organizations, apart from FIDA, the religious body, traditional rulers, and other people who are speaking against this? How do we have a synergy so that we can achieve better results, Barrister Obo?
Okay, with constant stakeholders sections, you have representative from the religious sections, from the traditional section, from the government, from the various NGOs. So most times we have persons like that sit down and have a roundtable discussion. Each person would bring in their input. Each person will talk about their challenges, talk about their success stories. Each person would be able to influence their sections. For instance, you have someone from probably the Pentecostal section, you have from the Catholic, you have from religious, more like if they have probably some managerial persons in charge of traditional rulers.
You need to bring them to.
Oh yes, because
they are the major problem here.
Yes, they are, exactly, because over time we find out that one of the reasons why trying to get persons, women in the rural areas to understand the dangers of female genital mutilations, we have the traditional rulers who actually say, no, this is our culture, this is not our tradition, it no go fit change under our watch. It don't happen since, so it no go fit change now. God forbid say it change for ourselves. So we have to get to talk to those persons. More importantly, let's not even talk about the religious sections, because we have some religious leaders who tell you, they will even tell you it is spiritual. If you don't go through that, you are not cleansed or something. So I feel like it is a fight.
Okay.
It is a fight for everybody, because we all owe it morally first, a duty to report. So if I find out that in my compound there is a lady who is going to attempt to mutilate her daughter, it is my duty to report to the authorities. We have helplines. We have from the Edo State and gender-based ministry, you have helplines who you can call. You can visit the office. Okay. So it is something that we all have to come together to do from various
You have those contacts here?
Not here, not right here.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Now, as an expert, and of course, I'm aware this is where you're actually carrying out a research currently.
Yes.
So do we have, is it corrected? Can we correct it when you chop off the clit of a woman? Can you give artificial one? Okay. Is it possible? Then what other things are we putting in place health-wise to help these people that have gone through this bad process? Okay,
it's unfortunate that you can't give a new clit. Something cut off cannot be good, like, it's already gone, it's gone. But
it's gone?
Yeah, it's gone. Sorry, but it's gone. And it's something they have to live with, and that is why the legal personnel are, of course, there, But I think there's a lot we can do, just like what we are doing right now, is to educate the public and make them informed about this female genital mutilation. Because a lot of persons up to now do not know that they have a right to say no. Because most times within the age of infancy, adolescence, but few of people that are above 30. So you can find out that when these things happen is with those children that are little. So a child watching right now will know that, Mom, this is wrong. Dad, this is wrong. Auntie, this is wrong. And they can speak up. When they get to school, they can go talk to their teachers, their aunties, and of course, aunties, teachers, and everybody watching, please go to the police station. You have a right, it's your right. So we're talking about it is one way of helping. Medically as well, it was also believed that most of the people that go through or perform these acts, this is a non-medical procedure.
Okay.
It is not, there's no benefits to it. There is no benefit.
No benefits of
all
whatsoever.
are myths saying it prevents premarital sex, you know, but that is wrong, because those are the persons that indulge more in sex because they are inquisitive.
You think so?
They want to understand.
You think so?
They want to understand.
You think so?
Yes, they want to understand what this pleasure you're talking about. Someone is saying, oh, sorry if I could use the word squirt. They don't know what it is. Someone that does not even understand how to get orgasm.
So a woman needs a clit to squirt.
How can that is a pleasure point. So if it's
so
gone,
without the clit, no squirting.
no pleasure. No pleasure.
Okay.
You can't take that from a woman, please.
Okay, Barrister Obo, you help us now. Is there any collaboration between FIDA, international bodies? Is there any synergy?
Yes, there is
fighting
synergy.
this act?
Yes, there is synergy. There are synergies, yes, with international bodies, UNICEF, UNF. They've had to come together because it's what affects women in general. It's not just particular to Nigerian women. It's not particular to Africa. It's particular to all around the world because it's something about culture that in the past was existing, and nobody was with no complaints, with no red flags. But over time, they felt like it is something that must be done, like more like a ritual, kind of. Yes, like a lady, a woman, the girl child must have to go through to have the best adulthood, as they thought. So we've had synergy. We've had to come together to work with international and national bodies, even local bodies, even the local organizations. Those traditional organizations are set in place to help and promote issues like this and sensitize the public and the society. Okay,
now what advice do you have for our viewers as a health expert? If you said a woman who doesn't have all these other sensitive organs, she might not be able to squirt at all, no pleasure, but does it dehydrate the vagina?
Okay, yes. That is the second type, where you have the limba majora being either partially or totally removed. That's part of the vulva that helps to lubricate a woman, preparing her for
so
the
no
action.
wetness.
So now she
will be dry.
Yes, and that is why I explained earlier on that it's almost like a woman being raped, either by her husband or her boyfriend. How can you imagine every time you want to have sex with your husband, you are being raped? Imagine the trauma. Imagine the post-traumatic stress. Even during the period of perpetrating these acts, the pain they have, most of them have bleeding, severe bleeding. And these are issues that you cannot involve someone in. Even your enemy,
Okay.
you don't pray
Do you have a
for your
personal
enemy.
experience?
No, I don't have, but I have seen.
Okay.
I have interacted with some, luckily for me, so I could tell you for a fact that this is not something you should pray for your enemies.
Okay. So final word from you, Barrister, but we need to go now. Final word.
Okay, final word. It's the same thing. Stop it. It's not good. It's something we would joke about, but it is something that is very serious because it kills the woman from inside. Doctor talked about the pleasure point. I mean, that is the pleasure point. If a woman must enjoy sexual life, she must not be subject with that, because in the long run, mentally, psychologically, medically, it's going to affect the woman. Even if it doesn't affect the lady now, in the future, because I think you have some infections that takes time.
Prone to infections.
It's prone to infections, bleeding.
Yes. Even during birth.
Does it stop a woman from having urge? It stop her from having urge?
No, not all. Okay, of course, let's go psychologically. I feel like every time I'm having sex with my husband, I'm being raped. Of course, I would not want to do that. It's almost like a chore. It's now, in fact, it becomes a duty. Or when I want to give birth, I'm scared of losing my life because of my previous experience with my child, maybe the first one.
Okay.
I don't want to even have a child again.
Okay.
You
Well,
know.
I'm afraid we need to go now, but would have loved to push this discussion further.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Benedicta Oba Esquire, for coming. And of course, Obia Julum.
Thank you.
Emekola.
You got it right.
I got it right this time.